Precious Holy Spirit, oh, how I love you! You are more real to me than the very air I breathe. My beloved friends, I stand before you today with a heart full of expectation, knowing that the Holy Spirit is here right now. Not because of me, not because of any human ability, but because He longs to be with His people. The Holy Spirit is not a distant force, not just a power to be used. He is a person. He is the most wonderful, the most precious companion you will ever know. So many of us struggle. We wonder, am I speaking to Him the right way? Does He hear me? Can I truly know Him? But I tell you today, He is listening. He is waiting. And when you know how to talk to Him, how to love Him, how to surrender completely to Him, oh dear ones, your life will never be the same again. The Holy Spirit is not merely a force or an influence. He is a person. He has a will, emotions, and intellect. He speaks, leads, and desires intimacy with those who seek Him. Many people approach the Holy Spirit as if He is only a power to be used when needed, something to call upon in moments of crisis or for supernatural manifestations. But He is not an impersonal energy. He is the very presence of God, longing to dwell with His people, to guide them, to comfort them, and to reveal the deep things of the Father's heart. To truly know the Holy Spirit, one must move beyond seeking an experience and into cultivating a relationship. Experiences come and go, but relationships are built daily through love, communication, and trust. Many chase after signs, wonders, and feelings. But the Holy Spirit is not just an emotion that comes over you. He is a constant companion who desires to walk with you every moment of your life. When people seek only experiences, they often find themselves on a roller coaster of spiritual highs and lows, always chasing the next encounter, but never developing true intimacy with Him. The Holy Spirit longs for communion. He wants to be acknowledged, welcomed, and loved. Just as a dear friend would feel hurt if ignored or only spoken to in times of need, the Holy Spirit grieves when He is treated as a mere source of power rather than as a beloved friend. He wants to share in your joys, your struggles, and your daily life. When you wake up in the morning, He is there. When you feel overwhelmed, He is waiting to comfort you. When you do not know what to do, He is ready to guide you. But He does not force Himself upon anyone. He responds to those who hunger for Him, who truly desire His presence above all else. Developing a relationship with the Holy Spirit requires time and intentionality. It means talking to Him throughout the day, not just in structured prayer times. It means learning to listen, to recognize His gentle voice leading and prompting. It means yielding to Him, allowing Him to shape your heart and transform your desires. It is in the stillness, in the moments of surrender, that He speaks the loudest. Many people struggle to hear the Holy Spirit because they are too busy, too distracted, or too focused on their own plans. But when a person sets aside time to truly know Him, to wait in His presence, to honor Him with their life, the relationship deepens. The more you walk with the Holy Spirit, the more you become like Jesus. His presence sanctifies, renews, and empowers. His friendship is the sweetest, and His love is beyond measure. Those who know Him intimately do not chase after fleeting experiences because they carry His presence with them always. They do not rely on emotions because they have built a foundation of trust. True fellowship with the Holy Spirit transforms every area of life, bringing peace, wisdom, and a love that overflows. The Holy Spirit is not someone to be approached casually or out of habit, but with deep reverence and love. He is the Spirit of the living God, the very presence of the Father and the Son, dwelling among us and within us. When a person truly understands who He is, they cannot come before Him with empty words or mechanical prayers. He is not impressed by long speeches or religious routines. He looks at the heart, at the sincerity behind every word spoken. Too often, people pray out of duty, repeating phrases they have heard without any real connection. But the Holy Spirit desires something much deeper, a conversation that flows from a heart of love, honor, and true longing. To approach the Holy Spirit correctly, one must first recognize His holiness. He is pure, righteous, and sacred. He is not to be taken lightly or treated as an afterthought. When Moses encountered God in the burning bush, he was told to remove his sandals because he was standing on holy ground. In the same way, when speaking to the Holy Spirit, one must come with a heart that acknowledges His majesty and glory. This does not mean coming in fear or hesitation, but in awe of who He is. When a person truly reveres the Holy Spirit, they do not rush into prayer without thought, nor do they treat Him as just another part of their daily routine. Instead, they pause, they reflect, they acknowledge His presence with humility and honor. Love is at the center of every true relationship, and it is no different with the Holy Spirit. He does not respond to cold, repetitive prayers that are spoken without meaning. He is drawn to those who seek Him with a heart of love and devotion. Just as a child speaks to a loving parent with trust and warmth, so should a believer speak to the Holy Spirit. Not out of obligation, not out of tradition, but from a deep place of affection and desire to know Him more. Love changes the way a person speaks. When one loves the Holy Spirit, their words carry weight because they come from the depths of their heart. There is no need for elaborate phrases or forced expressions, just simple, honest communication that flows from a heart that cherishes His presence. Speaking with sincerity means being real with the Holy Spirit. It means bringing every joy, every struggle, and every thought before Him without pretense. He already knows the innermost parts of the heart, so there is no reason to hide. True prayer is not about perfect words, but about genuine connection. When a person speaks to the Holy Spirit with honesty, they will experience a deeper relationship with Him. They will begin to sense His voice more clearly, feel His presence more strongly, and walk in greater intimacy with Him. He responds to those who seek Him in spirit and in truth, who come with a heart that honors Him not just with words but with a life surrendered to His leading. Surrender is the key to walking in the fullness of the Holy Spirit. He does not force Himself upon anyone, nor does He move where He is not welcomed. He longs to take full control, to lead, to guide, and to transform, but He will only do so when a heart is completely yielded to Him. Many desire His power, His presence, and His gifts, but few are willing to fully surrender their own will in exchange for His. True surrender is not partial. It is not giving Him some areas while holding on to others. It is a complete yielding, a letting go of personal desires, ambitions, and plans so that His perfect will can be accomplished. A heart of surrender is a heart that says, "Holy Spirit, have your way." It does not resist, argue, or try to take control. It is fully open, fully yielded, fully abandoned to Him. The Holy Spirit moves where He is wanted, where He is given full authority. When a person clings to their own ways, their own understanding, and their own strength, they limit what He can do in their life. But when they come before Him with an open heart, saying, "Not my will, but yours be done," they make room for Him to move in ways beyond their imagination. Surrender requires trust. It is not always easy to let go, especially when the future is unknown or when circumstances seem uncertain. But the Holy Spirit can only lead those who trust Him completely. A surrendered heart does not demand explanations or try to figure everything out. It simply obeys, knowing that the Spirit of God never leads astray. It is a daily decision, a constant choice to lay everything down at His feet, believing that His plans are higher and His ways are perfect. When a person truly surrenders, they begin to experience the Holy Spirit in a deeper way. His presence becomes more real, His voice becomes clearer, and His power begins to flow more freely. He moves mightily in the lives of those who make room for Him, who invite Him to take full control. The greatest miracles, the greatest breakthroughs, and the greatest encounters happen in places of complete surrender. It is in that place where self fades away, where human limitations disappear, and where the Spirit is free to work without restriction. The Holy Spirit will not share space with pride, stubbornness, or self-reliance. He moves where He is honored, where He is given priority, where He is given full access. A surrendered heart is a vessel He can fill, a temple He can dwell in, an instrument He can use. Those who hold nothing back, who yield completely, who say yes without conditions, these are the ones who walk in the fullness of His power, His wisdom, and His presence. It is in the place of surrender that the deepest intimacy with the Holy Spirit is found, where His voice becomes the loudest, and where His presence becomes everything. The Holy Spirit is always speaking, always guiding, always revealing the heart of the Father, but many do not hear Him because they are too busy talking. Prayer is not just about presenting requests. It is a divine conversation, a two-way fellowship where listening is just as important as speaking. Too often, people approach the Holy Spirit with long lists of needs and desires, pouring out words without ever pausing to hear what he has to say. They seek his help, his power, and his blessings, but they do not take the time to receive his wisdom, his correction, or his direction. Yet the Holy Spirit is not just present to fulfill requests, he is present to lead. He is the voice of God, the counselor, the teacher, and the guide who longs to reveal the deeper things of the Spirit. Listening to the Holy Spirit requires stillness. The world is filled with noise, distractions, worries, and endless activity that can drown out his voice. He does not shout. He speaks in a still, small voice, a gentle whisper that can only be heard by those who quiet their hearts and make room for him. When someone is constantly speaking, their mind is occupied with their own thoughts rather than being sensitive to his. But when they learn to be still, to wait in his presence without an agenda, they create space for him to speak. Many wonder why they do not hear from God, but they have never truly learned to listen. They fill their prayer time with words, yet never linger long enough to hear his response. Listening also requires a heart that is willing to obey. The Holy Spirit does not speak just for the sake of speaking. He speaks to lead. If a person listens only when they want confirmation of their own desires but ignores him when he convicts or redirects, they will struggle to hear him clearly. He speaks to those who are ready to respond, who are willing to follow wherever he leads. Obedience is the key to hearing more from him. When he sees that his voice is valued and his instructions are followed, he will reveal more, guiding step by step. But when his voice is ignored, it becomes harder to discern over time. A heart that listens is one that walks in alignment with the Spirit. The more a person listens, the more they recognize his voice, and the more they are led by him in every aspect of life. It is in the moments of quiet surrender that he reveals his plans, imparts his wisdom, and gives direction that no human understanding could provide. Those who develop the habit of listening more than they speak will find themselves walking in greater peace, greater clarity, and greater intimacy with him. They will not be led by emotions, circumstances, or human opinions, but by the gentle, sure voice of the Holy Spirit, who always leads in truth and righteousness. The Holy Spirit was never meant to be an occasional presence in the life of a believer. He is not someone to be called upon only in moments of need or during times of worship. He desires constant fellowship, an unbroken relationship where his presence is acknowledged in every moment. Too often, people limit their interaction with the Holy Spirit to church services, prayer meetings, or moments of crisis, but he longs to be involved in every detail of life. Walking in continuous fellowship with him means recognizing that he is always present, always near, and always speaking. It is a lifestyle of communion, where he is included in decisions, thoughts, and daily activities. When fellowship with the Holy Spirit becomes a lifestyle, prayer is no longer a rigid routine but a natural, ongoing conversation. There is no need to wait for a formal setting or specific time of day to speak with him. He is present in the quiet mornings, in the busyness of work, in the stillness of the night. He is not limited to sacred spaces. He dwells within, ready to guide, comfort, and teach at all times. Many struggle to hear his voice because they separate their spiritual life from their daily life. But true fellowship means there is no separation. The same Holy Spirit who moves in powerful moments of prayer is the same Spirit who desires to walk through the ordinary moments of the day. Continuous fellowship requires awareness. The more a person acknowledges the Holy Spirit, the more they become sensitive to his voice. He does not force himself into conversations or demand attention. He waits to be invited, to be recognized, to be welcomed. Those who walk closely with him have trained their hearts to remain open to him, not just when they feel spiritual, but at all times. They do not compartmentalize their relationship with him, keeping him for certain moments while shutting him out of others. Instead, they involve him in everything, knowing that he is the best counselor, the most faithful friend, and the greatest source of wisdom. True fellowship also means dependence. The Holy Spirit was sent to be a helper, a guide, a teacher. Yet, many live as though they must navigate life on their own, only turning to him when all else fails. But those who walk in continuous fellowship lean on him for every step. They do not make decisions based on their own understanding but seek his guidance in all things. They consult him before moving, they listen before acting, and they trust that he knows the way far better than they ever could. A lifestyle of fellowship with the Holy Spirit transforms everything. It brings peace in chaos, direction in uncertainty, and strength in weakness. It turns every moment into an opportunity for communion with God. Those who cultivate this kind of relationship do not experience his presence only in church or in prayer. They carry him with them always, aware that he is not just near but within, leading, loving, and abiding forever.